So my last question for you, Karen, and please like add anything that you think we might have missed or might have overlooked for IEP team leaders or for other, for parents, for other people who might sit at the table, general education teachers, related service providers, sometimes administrators, principals, assistant principals might be there. So what are the additional suggestions or thoughts about those key legal considerations and working together as a team that you think people really should keep in mind?
Especially, and I'm going to focus on team leaders because I think that's our audience, or most of our audience really, is for the team leader to really, sometimes when we think of legal requirements, we think of going to hearing or, and certainly what you really want to do is have a strong foundation, have strong knowledge of the regulations. And don't think of it as this big, grand, scary legal thing. It's really your friend. It's your process. It's your grounding. It's your scaffolding to help you when you're making decisions to say, this is how I made my decision. This is the process and the regulations. I've taken things into consideration, and this is how we're going to move forward. So really my advice is for team leaders is when you think about legal requirements, just go back to your CMR 28 and really read your regulations and realize, this is good stuff. It really can help me guide my way. I think for the other roles, you really want that too. For general educators, they just make booklets. There's one that really kind of talk about special educator from a general education perspective, is to really, for general educators to realize you're a valid member of that team. You're as important as that team as I am, or the special education teacher, and that you're bringing information because at the end of the day, there's things in that IEP that you're as responsible for implementing as the special educator. That when we're at that table together, it's important to remember that we're all team members, but you team leaders get to remember that at the end of the day, it's not about consensus. You're facilitating a meeting, but the reason you're the team leader is at the end of it, you're proposing for the district, what is going to be sent out to the parents.
Right.
So everybody has their role, very sound idea of what the requirements are, the process is. But for team leaders, you really have to remember at the end of the day, you're wrapping it up and you're making a proposal. And the parents then have a right to accept it or reject it or come back to the table.
And it sounds like what you're really emphasizing is the need for that team to be communicating, like have some good clarity about the compliance aspect, both in terms of knowing those regulations, and I do agree with you, I think they are your friend, and everybody on the team, the more people know about that, the better, and then also keeping that eye on the Gen Ed classroom, because ultimately, regardless of the placement or the place, kind of two different things, placement and place, that children receive in education, that's really our frame of references. And so those Gen Ed teachers become so important in terms of guiding the team in that way.
See, I could talk to you forever.
I know,
Because one of the things I think of too is have your own mission and why you do this, and remember what special education is. And what I remember these days is what I'm really working to do is to decrease the impact of the disability while increasing the student's ability to participate in the natural environment. So you're decreasing the impact of the disability and you're increasing participation in the natural environment. And if you keep that frame of reference and use then the law and the process and compliance to make these big decisions that sometimes seem a little overwhelming because district funding may be involved or something like that, is to have a mission or an understanding of the purpose of special education and then using the laws and regulations to help guide the process.
I love that. What wisdom, because we're getting kids ready for one world, Great. Oh, well, thank you so much for your
Laurel.
time today.
It's very nice to be here.
Great to have you.